All right, man, peace. So in the aftermath of the jersey retirement ceremony for the LA Laker great Kobe Bryant, of course, that inspired the very predictable, where does Kobe rank in the pantheon of all-time NBA greats? So we've already seen the Max Kellerman versus Stephen A. Smith debate in regards to where Kobe ranks in relation to Michael Jordan in their view. Now Shannon Sharpe, Skip Bayless, and Chris X Broussard are going to give their perspectives on where Kobe ranks in their top 10 all-time NBA greats. Of course, they're going to talk about it, and I'm going to chime in.
Kobe Bryant had both of his numbers retired by the Lakers last night. During the ceremony, Magic Johnson called him the greatest who has ever worn.
Now look at Magic Johnson. Look at how Magic Johnson strategically moseyed himself right behind Jeannie Buss. Once again, Jeannie Buss is a monarch child. She's an MK Ultra sex kitten. Just go ahead and Google her. All of her poses are always very sexually suggestive. There's a photo of her, if you Google search her, where she has two basketballs in front of her breasts. Her dad, Dr. Jerry Buss, was an MK handler who was very close with MK handler and programmer Hugh Hefner. And I already did a video on Hugh Hefner and what his whole setup was about. But look at what Magic Johnson did. He very strategically moseyed up right behind Jeannie Buss. Who the hell knows? Magic Zipper might be down. Who the hell know what's going on back there? The woman might be pregnant in 9 months. But I already told you guys, look, I believe that Magic Johnson is trying to eventually gain ownership of the Lakers. It wouldn't surprise me at all. I did a video about it. I also did a video about Magic Johnson being an apprentice to Dr. Jerry Buss. So there is a lot of intrigue that goes on in the upper levels of the business world / entertainment industry. But anyway, let's see what they have to say.
The purple and gold. Kobe finished his career with 5 NBA titles and is third all-time in scoring behind Kareem and Karl Malone and just ahead of Jordan. Let's take a listen to Kobe talk about the legends that came before him.
It's not about my jerseys that are hanging up there for me. You know, it's about the jerseys that were hanging up there before. Without them, I couldn't be here today. They inspired me to play the game at a high level. Magic, Cap, Shaq pushing me every day. Baylor.
Yeah, he was pushing you to figure out a way to run his ass out of town. That's what he was doing.
Baylor, Chamberlain, Goodrich, West, Worthy, goes on and on.
We're joined once again by Chris Broussard. Chris, where does Kobe rank all time?
Well, I don't. First of all, I don't have him as the greatest Laker. I got Magic as the greatest Laker.
I agree. Before Chris Broussard gives his list of top Lakers, let me give mine. I have Magic number 1. Magic is definitely number 1. For career, number 2 would be Kobe. Number 3 would be Kareem. Number 4 would be Jerry West. Now, if we're talking about the best players to ever play on the Lakers, then that's Kareem, number 1. Number 2 would be Magic Johnson. Number 3 would be Shaq. And then number 4 would be Kobe, if we were to go down the list that way. And then 5 and 6 would be Wilt Chamberlain and Jerry West. And then, of course, number 7 would be Elgin.
I have Kobe second. Although I think Kareem, who I rank third, is the best player ever to play for the Lakers.
Agreed.
But, you know, he played in Milwaukee and all that.
Wait, you have Kobe above Kareem and Shaq?
As a Laker. Well, Shaq was only there 8 years. Kareem, half of his tenure or a lot of his tenure with the Lakers, he was older and past his prime.
Agreed.
Even though they were still winning championships. So here's my rank all time with Kobe. So should I just read the guys I have?
Just read the guys. You ain't got to give no numerical order because I ain't doing numerical order.
You have to do numerical.
Well, then you are not doing your due diligence, Shannon. We know why you didn't do no damn numerical order. Everything with you was about LeBron.
Okay.
What are you talking about? I'll give the number at the end. Number 1, Michael Jordan.
Oh, shocking.
I know you're gonna have a heart attack with my list. Number 2, LeBron James. LeBron James. LeBron James.
You already know, Skip. My baby's number 2, and he's shooting up with a bullet.
Number 2, no question.
Lord have mercy.
Number 3, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Come on, man. You can't put LeBron over Kareem. Knock it off.
Number 4, Magic Johnson. Number 5, Wilt Chamberlain. Number 6, and this was tough, Shaq. And 7, Kobe. And the way I differentiated between Shaq and Kobe was if I had to start a team, I would take Shaq instead of Kobe.
Well, brother, first off, you don't even have Bill Russell in your top 7. Like, are you kidding me? Bill Russell, and I've mentioned this already in previous videos, Bill Russell was like his generation's combination of Kevin Garnett and Dennis Rodman. You must give that man credit. Bill Russell's a guy you can't just look at his numbers and be able to deduce the effect that he had on the floor.
But you could flip those. But I got Kobe 7.
You have to rank. Are you in trouble?
Is he in your top 20? That's why you don't have a numerical order.
Yeah, I didn't.
There's no need for one. If it's a top 10 list, everybody know from 1 through 10 is LeBron James. I mean, shit.
I didn't know where he's ranking. But I was just gonna put Kobe. I got Kareem.
I have number 1 is LeBron Abdul-Jabbar.
Number 1.
Kareem.
Wait.
All time?
No, this is all-time players, not just Lakers.
Oh, Lakers. Oh, no, Lakers. I got. Oh, okay, yeah. I thought we was talking about. I thought we had.
Hey, yo, Shannon needs to go on comedy tour, man. This dude be cracking me up. His brain is so messed up right now because he just is so focused on LeBron. Oh, shit. I didn't know he was doing a list of other players. So there was other players before LeBron? Get the hell out of here. Y'all don't pay me to talk about somebody else other than LeBron.
We had top 10. I thought. Didn't say this. Where do you got Kobe ranked all time?
All time.
Yeah. I got Kareem. Hold on, wait a minute. Y'all got me confused about my own list. Right, for a second.
Who's the best?
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is number 1. Okay.
Number 1 is LeBron Abdul-Jabbar. Greatest player of all time. No, LeBron with a hook shot.
Okay.
Michael Jordan is number 2.
Number 2 is LeBron Jordan.
He just can't stand to give.
That shocked me.
LeBron is number 3.
My baby.
3. Okay.
6'9", 260 pounds of sexual chocolate.
Wilt Chamberlain is number 4.
Number 4 is LeBron Chamberlain.
Wilt Chamberlain?
Magic Johnson, number 5.
Number 5 is LeBron Johnson. Best passer of all time.
I got Bill Russell,
Number 6 is LeBron Russell. He won 11 out of 13 championships, Skip. That's when LeBron played with the Celtics.
Number 6. Larry Bird, number 7.
LeBron Bird, number 7. That's LeBron when he had vitiligo. You know, he had to get that cured. But, you know, he was great back on the Celtics in the 80s. Back when he was albino.
Tim Duncan, number 8.
LeBron Duncan. You know, the king, he was also known as for his fundamentals. And his bisexual, allegedly.
I got old Kobe falling in. You know what? Oh, I didn't go all the way to 10. My bad. He got to go down.
Who's 9?
The big O.
Big O. So you got.
These guys need to work on their list, man. Because their list is all fucked up. Now, there's no way in the world that Kobe Bryant makes the top 10 if you do a real list. Chris Broussard didn't even have Bill Russell in his top 7. He should be embarrassed. Number 1 is Michael Jordan. I've already named my list, but I'm going to name it again. Number 1 is Michael Jordan. Number 2 is Kareem. Number 3 is Bill Russell. Number 4 is Magic. Number 5 is either LeBron or Bird. They're interchangeable. Let's say I put Bird at 5. LeBron at 6. 7 would be, I'll have Shaq. 8 would be Wilt Chamberlain. 9 would be Hakeem Olajuwon. And 10 would be Tim Duncan. And 10A or 11, I'm not sure about that. You know, I would have Isaiah Thomas and Kobe probably fighting for 11. You know, Isaiah Thomas or Kobe or Moses Malone, Dr. J, all those guys in that same area from around 11 to 16, 17. I'd have to work out that list. But no, Kobe Bryant's not in the top 10 greatest players ever. Sorry, no.
So you got the big O above Kobe. So Kobe is 10th on your list. He is 7th on your list.
Kobe
So
fan.
Shaq is not in your top 10?
Any threat to LeBron just
Gotta have Shaq in the top 10. Even Joy Taylor checked him.
gets.
It ain't no threat.
Yeah.
He ain't no threat. He ain't no threat. He done.
But I know why Shannon don't have Shaq in his top 10, because Shannon was somebody who, when he was in professional sports, he was 100% in. He was a fitness fanatic. So Shannon looks at somebody like Shaq, and many people look at Shaq that way, including myself, as somebody who left a lot of accolades and championships on the table because he was a fat bastard and he didn't take his sport as seriously as he should have.
He can't build no more cake. He can't make no more bricks.
I will give you that. A lot of players do take Kobe over LeBron. I'll give you that.
Yeah. So now for an objective list.
Well, that's because a lot of players playing today grew up in the 2000s and they got to see the last of the hero ball era. And whoever plays hero ball gets to be extremely glorified. We see it today with Russell Westbrook. He gets glorified playing hero ball. Most of the players playing in the league today will tell you that their favorite player growing up was either Kobe or Allen Iverson.
I, like you, have Kobe 7th. You've got him 10th, but I have him 7th. And we start clearly, obviously, at the top. Do I even need to say?
Yeah.
It's not Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. It's obviously Michael Jeffrey Jordan. There is no debate about that. You're just being petty and peevish.
Skip, why you got to put my business out in the street? Okay. Michael Jordan, he stole my woman back in 1992. You know, I already told the story. And once again, Michael Jordan, if you're watching, fuck you.
Why?
You know, I don't
Okay,
know.
go ahead.
It has
I have to
do
agree with Skip on that one.
It has to do with the poor man's number 23, LeBron James. Okay, so
Ain't nothing Paul about my baby.
So I have 3 Lakers ranked above Kobe Bryant, because in order, these are just my all-time greats. I'm going Magic, Shaq, and Kareem at 2, 3, and 4. Shaquille O'Neal.
All-time.
Yes, all-time. I was there for all those finals, all those Western Conference finals with Shaquille O'Neal. He was the most dominating offensive force, and I'll throw in defensive force together I'd ever witnessed.
Well, look, I would definitely have Shaq. If we're talking about the most dominant force in NBA history, yeah, Shaq is top 3. Easily. Maybe number 1. Who knows? But I think that there has to be a differentiation made between most dominant and greatest. Because when you're talking about most dominant, then you're basically talking about centers. Because they are the biggest and it's easiest for them. But at the end of the day, I have to have Shaq lower on the scale because he really didn't start to win until a lot of the other great centers were no longer in the league. Because when he had his opportunity, he got roasted by Hakeem Olajuwon. He just got roasted. And I would have Hakeem higher on my list if Hakeem had more championships. But because of what Shaq was able to accomplish, winning 4 championships, I have to put him above Hakeem. Even though, in my view, you could argue that Hakeem is the greatest center ever. I believe that an argument could be made for him. And I've already stated in my top 10 list, in order to make my top 10 list, there has to be an argument that you're the greatest at your position.
He just dominated. Nobody could deal with Shaquille O'Neal. He did not take care of himself. He didn't last as long as he should have.
That's right.
I'm just saying, I'm taking him in a vacuum, in and of himself at that point. I'd never seen anything like it before. So he is 3rd behind Magic and Kareem. To your point.
So you got Magic 2?
2, Shaq 3, Kareem 4. Then the great Tim Duncan is 5 with his 5
Hold on.
rings.
You got Magic, Shaq, and Kareem ahead of LeBron. Man, I got to go up out here, Skip. Hey,
Hell no. Give me your list, Skip. I'm about to ball up and throw it in your damn face. I'm gonna look at your list. LeBron better be in the last. If he's in the bottom 5, he better be number 6. Tell you that, because if you're not, I'm gonna whoop your ass.
hey, quit kidding with me.
No.
Skip, you ought to be ashamed of
Sit
yourself.
and listen to me.
You ought to be ashamed.
It's my turn.
You probably
It is
don't
my
even have
turn.
LeBron in your top 10.
Then number 6, I have the great Bill Russell, who, to your point about you both have Wilt up high. He dominated Wilt Chamberlain head to head.
won.
No, exactly. Wilt
7
would put
and 1.
40 and 30
He
on
was
him.
7.
Yeah, but on how many shots, Chris? Once again, Wilt Chamberlain, he was like Wilt Chamberlain to basketball. He was like to basketball what Babe Ruth was to baseball. Wilt Chamberlain's numbers are so astronomically above everyone else's in that time period he was just a freak athlete. That's why I call him and LeBron James, they're in the same ilk. LeBron James to me is like the Wilt Chamberlain of modern day basketball. Not necessarily with numbers, even though he's going to accumulate numbers on that level, but just as a physical specimen, as just somebody who's just so far above his peers in regards to his physical gifts and his prowess. But that does not make him a better player than Bill Russell, who was also a freak athlete himself, great track and field athlete. But Bill Russell played a team game. He was able to augment his teammates. And yes, he did play with great talent, but Wilt Chamberlain also played with very good talent as well. And he didn't really and the proof that he did not really understand the team game was that he got his ass whooped by the Celtics all those times. But when he finally learned how to play team basketball, he led the league in assists. They broke the record for most wins in a season, and they were able to win the championship that season. I believe it was 67 when they won. But you brothers can look it up. When I say they, I'm talking about Wilt Chamberlain and his team in, I believe he played for the Warriors at that time, Philadelphia.
7-1 in the playoffs. 7-1. Seriously,
But
beat him twice in the finals.
Statistically, Wilt was just
psychologically
demolishing
owned it.
29 and 29. What average?
average against Russell.
He
Well, 29 and 29 is not that great when you look in comparison to what Wilt was putting up against many of the other players in the league.
psychologically owned and always beat Wilt Chamberlain head to head. I'm sorry, I'm taking the guy with 11 rings.
Did Havlicek,
They had
Casey
something to do
Jones?
with it. That was the guy.
Well, since you bring up John Havlicek, which is a name I've mentioned numerous times on this channel, John Havlicek is a guy who has 8 titles, scored, I believe, over 25,000 points with no three-point line, and led the Celtics to 2 titles of his own in the 70s. And once again, was 8-0 in the finals. How come nobody says that he's above Kobe or that he's in the top 10? Is what I mean when I say that there's a lot of players that came through the NBA. People just want to throw Kobe in the top 2. Oh, he's right after Jordan. Like, come on.
The leader, the driving force was Bill Russell. I know he was only 6'9", but I'm taking him from his era. Man, he ranks high. He's 6th on my list. I told you I got Kobe 7 because he was 5-2 in finals. I got Larry Bird 8 because I'll take...
Larry Bird is not after Kobe. Sorry. No way in hell.
I'll take Larry Bird. I told you last week. Did I not tell you? I'll take him any day or any night over LeBron James with the game on the line.
I agree with that, with the game on the line. I definitely agree with that.
I'll take...
What happened when the game's not on the line? Because the game's not going to be on the line every night.
Did you see what he averaged rebounds? He's a 10 rebound. He's a better rebounder than LeBron James. He has the passing gift that LeBron James has.
He was an even better passer than LeBron. Larry Bird was a better rebounder, better passer, better shooter, better free throw shooter, better in the clutch than LeBron. What LeBron had over Larry was raw athleticism, as well as defense. I'll give LeBron credit for being a far better individual defender than Larry, even though Larry's defense is underrated. Once again, he was second team all defense 3 times, Larry Bird. That's why I say on my list, him or LeBron are interchangeable. If LeBron wins one more championship, I'll put him above Larry. But while they're still tied at 3, I have to have Larry above him because Larry played in a tougher era. It was harder for him to get to the finals than it is for LeBron James. In the early 80s, he had to combat the Philadelphia 76ers. By the late 80s, he had to combat the Detroit Pistons. LeBron James does not have to worry about that.
He was his generation's LeBron as a passer. He was a great passer. You want to start with shooting stats? Do I even have to start? Do I have to start with he won the first 3 3-point shootouts?
No, don't start there. Start with how he was the first guy to go 50, 40, 90. And he did it back-to-back seasons in 87 and 88. You can start there if you want to talk about shooting.
At the NBA All-Star Weekend?
His first finals, and Bird was
Cornbread Maxwell
but
was
his
MVP.
first finals, in 2 of the finals games, Larry Bird scored 8 points.
That's a good counterpoint. But that team was that team, the architecture of that team was different. They didn't run a system that always went through Bird. What Larry Bird would do was he gave the ball over to Nate Tiny Archibald, and Nate Tiny Archibald decided that whoever was hot was who was going to get the basketball. Bird did not really become the authoritative, give me the ball at all times guy until, probably until about 82 or 83. But in 81, to Chris's point, Cornbread Maxwell did win the MVP for the finals when they beat the Rockets.
And a role-playing Cornbread Maxwell.
He was a rookie.
I'm just saying,
He was a rookie.
when he was like 24 years old, he
Did they win?
he was a second-year player. He wasn't a rookie. He was in his second year, and he was old. No, Magic won it when they were both rookies.
That's correct. Magic won it when they were both rookies in 1980, when Magic had the great game in Philadelphia, 42, 15, and 7. And Larry Bird won it in his second year. But how Skip was supposed to respond to what Chris Broussard stated, which was a very, very good point by Chris Broussard. How Skip was supposed to respond was that the year before Larry Bird got there, the Celtics only won 28 or 29 games. Larry Bird came, and he was the only addition to the team, and all of a sudden they went from 29 wins to 61 wins. So we cannot neglect the effect that Larry Bird had on the team. But yes, Cornbread Maxwell did win the MVP in Larry Bird's first championship victory.
Magic and Kareem.
And
if I'm just saying, for consistency's sake, if LeBron James scored 8 points in 2 finals
That's before
games,
your time,
one
George, you
series,
remember that.
and a role-playing teammate, Cornbread was a very good player, but a role-playing teammate was MVP, you would
Wait a
take
second.
that title from LeBron.
Well, yes, Cornbread Maxwell was a role player, and he was the starter before Kevin McHale. Cornbread Maxwell had an injury, a leg injury. I believe it was 84, and that's how Kevin McHale became the starter. But the problem with the fullness of Chris Broussard's comparison between Larry Bird and LeBron James is that LeBron James did have a couple of 8-point games or something along those lines anyway against the Mavericks, and the difference is that they lost. Now, had Larry Bird lost to the Rockets, those games would have been put under far more scrutiny in retrospect. But since they won, you basically put it to the side. That's why I've always stated that this notion that Steph Curry did not play well against the Cavaliers in 2015, that's a media narrative. Steph Curry averaged 26, 6, and 6 or something like that in that series against the Cavaliers. He played very well. It's just that he had one bad game, which was game 2. Every other game he played very well. Game 3, he got hot late. Game 4, 5, and 6, he was very, very good. They just happened to give the MVP to Iguodala because of his defense on LeBron, who the media was hyping up so much in the first 3 games.
How old
You
was
wouldn't even
LeBron
give it to him.
when they played Dallas in the finals? How old was
Probably.
he?
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. LeBron was probably like 26 because I believe that was his 7th or 8th season.
Probably close to the same age. He was, what was he?
That was in 2010. So
His
that's 7
seventh
years
year,
ago. So
First
26.
year in Miami.
Oh, yeah, that was about 2010, I remember. I took LeBron out for his birthday, me and Savannah, when he turned 25, 26, so I remember. Well, we took him to a restaurant out there in Dallas. And, okay, what's your point?
Miami, right?
Yeah,
he was.
So was that 26?
Yeah, about 26.
Okay.
So
And he's
about the same
been
age as
playing,
Bird?
how many years in the NBA had he played?
That's not my...
8,
I'm not
9,
trying to defend
8.
him. I'm just saying you always killing for that. But when other players have their moments like that, you just
They
brush
were
over
moments.
it.
He was just a baby.
2 8-point games.
They won.
Bird was like 20.
I agree, Skip. They won. They're trying to create a red herring. It's a good red herring, though, by Chris Broussard.
24 years old.
It was his second year in the NBA.
But he wasn't the driving force. He was Cornbread Maxwell was MVP. So
No, he was the driving force, Chris Broussard. Larry Bird averaged something like 15 points, 15 rebounds a game in that series. But you brothers could look it up. Point being is that Larry Bird is the one who changed the culture for that team. Once again, the year before he got there, they won something like 28 or 29 games. And the year he got there, they won 61 games. And he was Rookie of the Year. So let's not act like Cornbread Maxwell was the lead guy. He was not.
So Larry Bird was
That's like Eric
3-2
Rivera,
in the
yeah.
finals and lost twice to Showtime's Lakers featuring Magic Johnson.
Yeah.
LeBron James is 3-5 in the NBA Finals. I can't get around that. 3-5. How do you explain it? How do you defend 5 losses in the NBA Finals? You can't.
I defended by saying he went 8 times. Why did Michael Jordan only go to the finals 6 times if he's as great as everybody says he
and
is?
Bird.
Hey, yo, Shannon needs his own comedy tour, man. What the hell does LeBron losing 5 times have to do with Michael Jordan? I mean, shit, Michael Jordan got to be pretty good. You got him on your list above LeBron. Since when do guys get more accolades for going to the finals and not winning? What kind of bullshit is this? Like, say, I got to see a chick naked 5 times. I didn't do nothing with her, but I got to see her naked 5 times. No, we did the nasty 3 times, but I just got to see her naked 5 times.
Bird only went, 4? He was 3 and 2, 5 times.
5 times.
And it was really in a 5-year, it was from 81 to 86.
And they never won back-to-back.
Short stretch.
Larry Bird never won back-to-back.
Well, how could he win back-to-back when he has to go back and forth with Dr. J and the Philadelphia 76ers, Shannon? That was a totally different era. I mean, everybody always talks about what Jordan didn't start winning until the league got watered down. Well, look, let me say this. Isaiah Thomas, when he won back-to-back, the league was not as strong as it was in the 80s. He tries to act like he was part of that era in the 80s. No, they were not. The only thing that I'm really looking at is finals victories as opposed to your losses. As a lead player, Jordan has the best winning percentage as the leader of his team, which is 6-0. Bill Russell, of course, is 11-1. So I will put Bill Russell slightly above Jordan. Why is that? Because he played in an era with far fewer teams and no free agency. So I would still put him slightly above because of his success in regards to winning. As I've stated already, I have Jordan number 1 because he was the first and really the only perimeter player to lead his team to multiple championships, never lost, and played in a big man era and still was able to dominate without a big man on his team. That's why I have him number 1. Really, the only small man to do it without a dominant big man and win multiple championships was Isaiah Thomas. And his team was loaded with Hall of Famers. Joe Dumars was a Hall of Famer. Dennis Rodman was a Hall of Famer. And in my view, Mark Aguirre should be a Hall of Famer. If Tracy McGrady can go to the Hall of Fame, Mark Aguirre should be there.
Take care of himself the way LeBron James. LeBron James is going to win longevity every time.
Now we punish
That has to be a
every
factor.
time.
That's what I'm
not the factor, but a factor.
But I had the factor
So
that he
after
went
Larry,
back.
who do you have?
After Larry Bird, I told you LeBron is next at
He
9
is in it.
and Wilt is 10. I got LeBron at 9 and Wilt at 10. Wilt won 2 finals. Really? He won twice? He was 2 and 4 in the NBA finals and you got him up in the middle?
What do you do?
That's why I have Wilt Chamberlain as the LeBron James of his era. Physical freak, but also did not win as much as most people would think he should have. But there are reasons why guys don't win in the finals. People don't understand there's a certain je ne sais quoi that comes with those big moments. There's that little special something that certain players have that others don't. And LeBron just does not have that magic in the big spots. As great a player as he is. I mean, he may arguably be the greatest player of all time for the first 46 and a half minutes. But when it comes to that last minute and a half, and he's become better at that. But in that last minute and a half, there's a differentiation between him and Jordan or him and Larry Bird.
What do you do with his numbers? I call the NBA record book the autobiography of Wilt Chamberlain.
Wilt had 1 year he averaged 50 points and 26 rebounds and scored 100 points in Hershey, Pennsylvania against the New York Knicks.
Are we going to tweet?
His numbers are, I got to give him some credit for.
Look, once again, Wilt Chamberlain is Babe Ruthian. When you look at Babe Ruth's numbers, he was doing things in an era when nobody else was doing it. He was kind of just ahead of his time. But Wilt Chamberlain was such a freakish athlete. There are stories about Wilt Chamberlain playing pickup basketball in the 80s as a man in his 50s, and he was still dominating. Magic Johnson will tell you, he used to play pickup basketball with Wilt Chamberlain in the 80s. And Wilt Chamberlain was still dominating the competition. All right, he was freakish. Arnold Schwarzenegger said when he filmed Conan the Destroyer with Wilt Chamberlain got down and bench pressed almost 500 pounds. And he wasn't even a weightlifter. Like, Wilt Chamberlain is what's known in the Bible as a mighty man. Just a dude who's just freakishly, physically gifted. And, for all the lambasting that Wilt Chamberlain gets for his lack of NBA titles, the 2 titles that he did win were legendary teams. As I stated, those Philadelphia 76ers are either the Sixers or the Warriors, but one of you brothers could look that up, that won in the late 60s. They set the record for most wins in a season, and they won the championship. And then his other championship was in 72 with the Lakers, and they had the record for most wins in the NBA season. So when he did win, he broke records.
Credit for his number.
Hey, Chris,
I got him in my top 10.
Are we going to sweep aside the next year that he averaged 44 and 22?
Yeah, that's
Or are
right.
we going to sweep aside the year he averaged 41 and 23?
Are we going to sweep aside the fact that a 6'9" guy dominated him in?
He did.
I agree.
Didn't. Wilt crushed him,
He
but
did not.
lost.
Yes, he did, Skip.
Well,
yes,
listen,
he did.
go read any of the
Russell was
books.
a
This is way before my
44%
time.
shooter.
I'm sorry, but
He didn't average 20 points. Bill
never averaged
Russell
more than
is
18
a
points a game.
15-point-a-game scorer. Career. Wilt
It doesn't matter, Shannon. That's the Bill Russell's not a person that you could look at the stats and understand his impact. That's why I liken him to a combination of Kevin Garnett and Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman was a guy wherever he went, winning followed. You just look at Dennis Rodman's career. When he came to the Detroit Pistons, they became champions. When he went to when he went to the San Antonio Spurs, they had a chance to win championships, but they couldn't get over the hump because David Robinson was not he was not an alpha superstar. And then of course he went to the Bulls, and he was that little bit that they needed to get over the hump in regards to providing that toughness on the front line and that rebounding and that defense. Even though he kind of started to, go off into his own zone later on during his tenure there, but he was what they needed. And if he could have kept his mind right, he probably could have done something after that. But he was too mercurial. But you have to understand a player like Bill Russell. You can't just look at the stats with him. And their plan when playing against Wilt Chamberlain was to let Wilt take over the game, because they knew that if Wilt was trying to score all the time, he wasn't getting his teammates involved.
Wilt averaged 30.
better defensive player, Bill Russell or Wilt Chamberlain? Did Wilt even think about playing defense?
Bill Russell had this many Hall of Famers on his team.
Oh, please. They're just a bunch of guys.
How do you put LeBron
They're a bunch
at
of white
9?
guys.
How do you put LeBron at 9?
The NBA was all white
How
guys.
do you say that with a straight?
Skip Bayless said, he just had a bunch of white guys. That's not true. They had Sam Jones. They had Casey Jones. But they had some other good players on the team. John Havlicek was a Caucasian, but he was a great player. So, I mean, they did have a collection of good players, but Bill Russell was the straw that stirred the drink for that team. And he made them better than they were. They were trying to win championships before Bill Russell got there. It's not a coincidence that he gets there and they win, and they all of a sudden start winning. And then he leaves and they have to go through a little period before they can win another one.
Okay, I'm not with the straight. My face is straight as it can be. 9. Show me somebody. He's 3 and 5 in the finals.
He's gonna
Help me out.
be
Help me
the
out.
only player in
Give me that damn paper. Got my baby at 9. You must be out of your goddamn mind. I'll slap the damn Kool-Aid out your damn hair. Get on my damn nerve.
the top 5 in scoring and top 10 in assists.
I don't know what you're so upset
Just
about.
longevity, durability. I give you. LeBron's the most durable player in the history of the NBA.
I agree. LeBron James is like the Wolverine of the NBA. That's why he got that big ass beard. That motherfucker, LeBron break his knee at the half and he'll come back, just tape it up. I'll be fine by the third quarter.
I give you that. He's going to pile up stats that you can't argue.
First team, he's about to be the first player ever to make 12 first team All-NBA.
Longevity.
LeBron gonna do that. He'll be the first player ever. Make 12 first team All-NBA. While also being People Magazine's sexiest man. How you like that, Skip?
Hold on,
I
Kobe
give you
played
that
20 years.
durability.
Hold on, how many years did
He was
Kobe
better
play?
than Magic.
Huh?
He's better than Magic.
He's better than
LeBron
Larry
is
Bird.
not better
He's
than
better than
Magic
Larry.
No, he's not better than Magic and he's not better than Larry Bird. You gotta win championships, man. Knock it off. At the end of the day, I'm not going to forget about the Dallas Mavericks series. Sorry. So if you want to be considered the best, then you gotta win more championships. For me to put him over Larry Bird, he has to win a 4th championship. If he gets a 4th championship, on my list, he'll go above Larry Bird. Magic Johnson, no.
Larry Bird.
Oh,
He's
please.
better than Larry Bird.
As
Well,
a leader,
he's better than
as a
Larry
big
Bird.
game player.
At least the three of us can agree that Shannon's list is wrong because it doesn't start with Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Yeah. At least we
Yeah,
understand.
Hold on.
I give
We
you
can
there
agree
are
on
those that would go with Kareem.
What?
I'll give you that.
See, the guy got me.
But I'll give you that.
Who's won the most MVPs in NBA
Yeah,
history?
yeah.
Who scored the most points in NBA history? Who's won the most games in
You
NBA
shouldn't even
history?
be allowed to.
Well, those are cumulative stats, Shannon. So, I mean, you can go along with that, as I've stated in the past, that you can definitely make a very powerful, potent argument for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as well as Bill Russell. Those are the only two names that I want to hear in regards to challenging Michael Jordan. But those are cumulative stats. To Kareem's credit, he was able to play that long and put up those numbers. It shows you how great a player he was. But one can easily come back and say, well, who won the most finals MVPs? You know, Michael definitely won more than Kareem did. Kareem oftentimes was, I won't say that he was a supplementary player per se, but by the 86-87 season, he certainly was. He won his last two championships definitely as a supplementary player on that team. As a role player, yes. A great role player, but he was still a role player nonetheless. And, you know, it's not a coincidence that while in Milwaukee, he won that first championship with Oscar. And then he struggled for many years in regards to winning until he got Magic Johnson. And that's not to take anything away from him. You need more than one great player to win. That's why these arguments about Michael Jordan and how come he didn't beat the Boston Celtics in the mid-80s, all that's just nonsense. People trying to cause confusion to try to build a fallacious case for LeBron James. You need more than one great player to win. That's why LeBron himself ran to Miami. Period. There's no record of just one great player winning multiple championships. It just doesn't happen.
Allowed to wear Jordans anymore.
Who needed Magic Johnson to come along and take over the leadership of the Showtime Lakers?
Big men always need a guard.
You know?
Shaq needed Kobe or Wade. You know, that's
And who needed?
how it is for big men.
Can you help me understand this, Chris?
Who
You follow
needed
that.
Dwayne Wade to win the championship?
Why couldn't Magic?
Good for you, Joy Taylor. She cut Shannon off. She said, who needed Dwayne Wade to win the championship? Dwayne Wade and Kyrie. Because she knows that this fool was about to run his mouth about Scottie Pippen.
For joining us, could Colin Kaepernick own an NFL team? Well,
Look, Shannon still got that stupid look on his face. But anyway, that's my list. Peace.